welcome to the Glazov gang. Tonight, a very special guest is with us, Dr. Ari Babaknia. He's an Iranian-born doctor who has written and published a 4-volume book in Farsi called The Holocaust. In English, it is Humanity Not. Humanity Not takes an in-depth look in words and images at the captured emotions of the victims, perpetrators, bystanders, and survivors of the Holocaust, told in their own words. And there's about 300 paintings. It's a 300 painting collection, I think, right, Dr. Babaknia? The illustrator is Ardashir Mohassis, who's recognized internationally, is Iran's leading cartoonist and graphic artist, and he's contributed these powerful illustrations to this very special book. Dr. Babaknia, it's a real honor and privilege to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we begin, just tell us a little bit about yourself and also the illustrator of this book.
Sure. I am a physician trained at the Johns Hopkins Hospital in reproductive medicine, in fertility, and I've been practicing fertility in Orange County, California for the past 30 years or so. And about a dozen years ago, I embarked on this new journey. I call it a journey of mine to understand more about the genocide and more really specifically what fascinated me and what made me so mesmerized about this is the reaction of the world, or lack thereof, reaction of the world, initially to Holocaust, but then I learned that it's really not the Holocaust, it's to every other genocide or mass murder. And so as I said, I spent a dozen years studying this, and the lessons that I learned from this are few. Number one, I learned that in the Holocaust, the Jews of the Europe were not really killed only by Nazis. The Jews of the Europe during the Holocaust were really ground to dust under 2 millstones. The upper one was the Nazis' criminal intent to kill the Jews or others who don't think or look like them. And the bottom stone of this millstone was the world indifference. So the second major lesson that I learned was when we encounter injustice, silence is not an option. Silence is always in favor of the perpetrators. For evil to succeed, it's not only evil's intent, it's for the good man also to stay silent. So these are the biggest lessons that I learned, which I wanted to share it with the world, first with the Farsi-speaking people, 150 million people who speak Farsi in the world, in Iran, in Afghanistan, in India, in Tajikistan, all around the world, in US, in all around the world. And then in the recent book, The Humanity Not, which was published about sometime earlier this year, it's a book that is talking no longer about the history of Holocaust. It's about the emotions and the ethics of the Holocaust, or lack thereof. It's a book that shows how you really can kill 5,000 people or be involved in killing 5,000 people or 1,000 or one person and go home, play with your child, eat food, say hello to your wife, hug your wife, and complain that, sweetie, the food doesn't have enough salt. You sleep comfortably You get up in the morning, you shave, you put your tie on, and you can say, honey, I'm going to work. Work? And I learned that this is so easy, this process, that you get scared why it doesn't happen more often. How so? It's very simple. There's a page in the book, if you allow me, I can share it with our audience. And this page shows that they teach people who are killing thousands of people every day that the person that you're killing is not human, is not even animal. Because even if you kill animal, you feel guilty. It's a Jew. Kill him in the name of Aryan nation. Kill him in the name of cleansing Germany. So when you kill somebody who looks like a pest, looks like a cockroach, you don't feel bad, you even feel good, because you're cleaning your place. Same thing is happening, regrettably, in Middle East right now, in Iraq, in Syria. Now they're killing in the name of God. You're Sunni, I don't like you, I kill you. And I only not feel bad, I feel good, because I'm doing something good. So it's a process of what I call it dehumanization. The process of demonization. We demonize the victim. And what is my responsibility? To speak up. What is my responsibility? To make sure that our elected people in our government, our leader, understand this is not the right thing to do. It's fascinating. The World War II started on Friday, September 1st, 1939. And the second day of the war, Saturday, Hitler has his first war cabinet meeting. And he tells to his cabinet member, we are fighting in two fronts. The first, for territory. We're going to get Poland, we're going to get this, we're going to get Czechoslovakia, we're going to get Vienna, and he did. And he says the second war is an ideological war. I'm going to kill anybody who doesn't think like me. And first are the Jews. I'm going to kill all the Jews. And 3 of his cabinet members, they decided to resign. He showed them the door, but before they leave, says, you fools, you stop. Let me teach you a lesson. The lesson was, generations ago, they killed more than 1 million Christians in Turkey, in Armenian genocide. Anybody protested? Anybody even remembers today that they killed all these Armenians? So he tells them, you fools, if you think that the world is going to be protesting against what I said, what I'm going to do, you will see. And regrettably, he was right.
Dr. Babaknia, thank you so much. My own life very interconnected with these themes and catastrophes and this evil. I come from the evil empire, from the Soviet Union, and as you know, the Stalinist regime perpetrated its own genocide against many people, Ukrainians, Russians, but many of my own family died because of that evil. And my father was always a little bit concerned if he had introduced me when I was a little bit too young to study the Holocaust, the Stalinist Holocaust, Mao, and all these things, because it's overpowering, and your book is overpowering. And I want to show our viewers a little clip of the pictures, and that informs a little bit about the book. But before we do, explain a little bit about why you chose to have Ardeshir Mohasses's paintings in the book, what it means to have illustrations along with words to try to come to an understanding of such immense evil.
See, in human history, We have always used art as a beauty. This book shows the power of art for evil too. I'm using these artwork to teach especially young generations, 10, 12, 13, 14 years old, to truly inoculate them as a physician, inoculate them against hate. Let me just tell you something before we go to this one, which is very important. I always, as a physician, looked at hate as a disease, psychosocial disease of spirit. And I really do feel pity for somebody who hates me. Somebody blanket voice says, I hate Jews. Dr. Babaknia, I love you, but I hate Jews. I feel pity. I think that person is sick. And I always have said that. For someone who hates you, wish them to get well soon.
Thank you. Let's go to a clip about humanity not with some of these very powerful and profound illustrations. Absolutely incredible. One finds difficulty in finding the words, Dr. Babaknia, but let's start with this, and you've already touched on it. The video clip also touched on the silence of the world. We know many people that say, where was God when we look at mass tragedy, when we look at mass murder?
Sure.
And your book, and also what you're saying here as well, stressed one theme. The question that you're saying should be asked is not where was God, but where was man?
Absolutely.
And the world's indifference to injustice. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because what I got from your book overall, Dr. Babaknia, is the existence of evil, the human reluctance to believe in such evil, but also human apathy and indifference to evil.
I totally agree with you.
Where was man, you say, is more important question than where was God?
Absolutely. Or who is man? Not only where was man, who is man? How can we believe in the goodness of humanity with events like Holocaust? Let me put it this way. If we're going to start injecting God into Holocaust or other genocides, I tell you this one. Hitler and other mass murderer, they're going to be so happy. They're going to say, it's not me, it's God. So by blaming situations, mass tragedies like Holocaust, Rwanda, Armenian genocide, God is taking the responsibility off of the shoulder of the not only perpetrator, but also bystanders. See, I truly believe that after a dozen years of studying Holocaust, I believe that if there was no Hitler, there was no Holocaust. But if there was a willingness from the Allied leadership, President Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and others who were leading the war against Hitler, if they were also leading the war against his second front, the ideological war, the Holocaust would not have been as we know it today. Hitler could have killed a couple million people, but he would not have been able, certainly succeeded to killing 11 million people, half of those being Jews. And it's fascinating. How naive was this Dr. Babaknia 20 years ago, 15 years ago? Because I thought the reason that Roosevelt, British government, did not help during the Holocaust because it was because of anti-Semitism. How naive this man was. Because these people, including Pope Pius XII, they not only protested killing of the 6 million or 5.5 million Jews, they even did not protest killing 5 million Christians, 3 million of them being Catholic, the direct follower of the Pope. So it is not anti-Semitism, it is anti-others. It is not my issue, it is others' issue. It's not my issue, it's happening in Darfur. It is not my issue, it's happening in Syria. So hands off. We don't have any interest. However, for a democracy to survive, and this is the crux of this book, in order for democracy to survive, in order for us to live in a democratic society, defending human rights is a pillar of democracy.
Thank you, Dr. Babaknia. With the remaining minutes we have left, as you refer to dehumanization, you know, very powerful in here, there's a segment of death by excrement. And it's just heartbreaking and crushing to read about how the Nazis on purpose created a situation where the victims and the inmates of these hellish camps were filled with their own filth and couldn't clean themselves. And this is the way that Nazi evil and evil in general wants to dehumanize the people they hate before they even die. And it says in the book how they stopped living before they died. Very briefly, because I have 2-3 more quick questions, and I know that this takes hours and days to answer.
No, absolutely.
Why is it so important for the evil to dehumanize and degrade before they even die and kill people?
It's, again, simple, as a part of psychology of killing. Because if the guy is dehumanized, he no longer is human, so you don't feel guilty killing him.
Right, and you absolve yourself of the complicity.
It is for the comfort of the killer. In fact, there's a page in the book, and there's a huge chapter during the Holocaust, that they were having conferences to find a humane way of killing people. Humane not for the victims, humane for the killers. So when the killers kill, they don't feel bad, and they find it. They call it the gas chamber.
But Dr. Babaknia, they even said in one part of the book how the Nazis were picking up the little children by their hair and shooting them in the back of the head. And one of the Nazi killers kind of felt bad about this and said, can you do it in a more human way? So there was the psychology also of the killers. We're running out of time. There was the psychology of the killers, but Elie Wiesel and others in this book have written that they were amazed that the victims were
Stay
able
human.
to retain their humanity.
Absolutely.
Can you talk for a minute about
I
that?
think-
How do people
yeah.
remain human in the face of this dehumanization and evil?
Thank you for asking this question. One of the survivors of the Holocaust said that the first day that I went to Auschwitz, I saw the filth in Auschwitz and I thought this is a haphazard. And she said, very soon I realized this is a very organized process of dehumanization. And she said, after that, there was a fight between me and death. And she said, if I die in Auschwitz, I'm going to die as a human being. I'm not going to go down. They are trying to dehumanize me, not lead them only to hate me to hate me too.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going. I'm going to stay human. It was a fight, spiritual fight, that the victims, the only way they can fight with Nazis was spiritual fighting.
Dr. Babaknia, we're out of time, but you write about, and it's very clear, that remembering restores the communal identity of man.
Absolutely.
Because the Nazis had mutilated the communal identity of man.
Absolutely.
So while the Nazis perpetrated the evil and destroyed our communal identity,
Right.
you're saying that with books like this and by bringing historical memory to evil and to the victims of evil, we restore our own bonds with each other.
Absolutely. And also I truly believe that the destruction of the memory and not to wanting to learn about the Holocaust and genocides is the real death of the victims and granting a victory to Hitler and other perpetrators.
Dr. Babaknia, thank you so much. And I think,
thank you.
look, we have to remember the Holocaust, the evil that was perpetrated in the Holocaust for the Holocaust's own sake and the victims' own sake. And this is not a however, it's an and, that we have always present-day Nazis. And today I would say that in terms of what the Islamo-fascists are doing against Israel and against Christians and against the infidels, that our silence today in the face of that evil is also a complicity.
I cannot agree with you more. Absolutely I agree with you.
Thank you so much for writing this
thank you
book.
very
Thank you
much.
for the
Thank you.
illustrator as well, Ardashir Mohassis. Humanity Not, ladies and gentlemen, get this book. And it was an honor to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for writing the book.
Thank you.
We'll see you again next week on the Glazov Game.